Alright, so welcome back to part 2 of the Don't Say Goodbye Alok remake. So if you missed the last video, we covered the verses and the builds, and I'd probably recommend checking that before this one because you can kind of get an idea of how we started the remake and all of the kind of foundations of the song. But let's go and take a listen to it anyway to go and see what we did and what we're going to build on today in the chorus. Okay, so we're all up to date. That's what we did in the last video, and we're going to jump into the chorus production today. So the first sound I wanted to cover in this part of the remake was the re-space, which just plays on the drop. It's in between like a bass line and just a big stretched out re-space. So I've gone for a Reese preset for this sound from Music Vol.1, a preset called Reese I Don't, and it sounds like this. So it's quite a sustained bass sound, and essentially that's just being played throughout the drops. So this is the pretty simple, straightforward MIDI we have for it. So I've kept the processing real simple on this one. I just wanted to get some sidechain on here, and we're using the 3-punch, which is the default sidechain. It's all mixed in at 100% on here and on the mix level, so everything's just really being ducked and you can feel the kick come through a lot. But things get a little bit more interesting when we take a look at this automation here, which is a channel pitch automation. And what I've done here is change the pitch range to 3, so you can only go up 3 semitones, which just helps me control how much I want to pitch bend things. This is how it sounds. And so on this last bit here, you can hear there's a different note being played, but because I just had the automation ready, I thought I'd just shift it up into that note without having to actually put it in the MIDI. So now we've got a kick in here, which is from Main Stage Vol.1, and this is a really punchy kind of kick. It's got a nice clicky sound at the start on the transient, and then it's got a fair bit of body, and you can sort of feel it in the low end just punching through. So next up, we're returning these claps from the previous part, which are from Music Vol.4. And so our processing is pretty straightforward. As always, I'm just using some CLA compressor, doing really minimal peak reduction, like 2 dB, so you're kind of gluing the claps to the kicks. So as we head into the second half here, we've got a little fill element, which is basically a sub drop just being reversed. And I've got this from, I think, Music Vol.3. So the next element is a lead sound which sits in the background and kind of adds a lot of harmonics and just chord elements, I guess, to the whole song. And there's something about the synth sound that has like a bit of a human kind of moaning feel to it because it's got like a pitch bend at the start. So as you can see, we've got pitch bends at the starts of each note, and this is how it sounds. And so this is the preset, it's called Time, and I've just sort of adjusted things here to try and get really close to the original. So here's how that sits amongst all the other elements. It's also worth noting that in the effects, I've got the reverb on like a really heavy mix setting, so it's mostly wet. So by having more wet, it feels more like a background element, because if you had it like here, it feels more at the forefront, and then here sits a bit more behind in the mix. So next up we have the bass that comes in on the second half of the drops, and this is more of like a plucky kind of Alok style bass, I guess. So as you can see, we've got our MIDI here, and we've got the notes that are just being shuffled, swung a bit. So the template shuffle is being used at about 40%, and that gives it that nice little offbeat kind of swing. And we're using the crispy and slappy preset to do this. And then we also have a womp sound which kind of flows between the different bass notes. So the preset we're using is called Womp No, and this is where it's being played on the MIDI. So here's everything all together at once so far. So now in this second half, we've got some hi-hats being introduced, and these are the same ones again from the verses. And then finally, to give some real power to the drop, we've got the effects downlift that we used in the previous part. So just like a massive noise exhaust. Alright, so that's the entire production wrapped up. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. If you did, make sure you smash the like button, hit subscribe as well so you don't miss any more videos. Make sure you tell us in the comment sections below what you want to see from start to finish next time. But let's go back to the start and listen to the verses and drops all together.
say goodbye.